So I suggest we continue now with our panel one, which is session one.
Good morning. I was invited here. Well, thank you. I hope you don't regret. I'm a marine biologist. I was a journalist. Now I'm studying science communication, and I think that's why they called me here. And I'm calling also Sophie Méric from the network. She's a network development director of LESEN. Come, you can, sorry. And member of the France Pêche, and also Filipe Pedro from communication and marketing of Docapesca. They are the ones who are the main here. And also Narcisa Bandarra, she is the head of division Marine and Living Resources Department of BIPMA, and she will be attending online. I don't know if she's already here.
Yes,
I hope so.
am, but the camera, I'm trying to look. I think that you are not, but yes, I'm here.
Okay. We can, I don't know, can you hear her well? Yes? Okay. For us, it will be somehow strange. So, are you doing a presentation? No? Okay, thank you.
Only hello, good morning.
Yes.
Well,
This morning, yeah.
Sorry, I will give you this. And I think I will be.
I'm trying sorry, I'm trying to go out and to come again, please, to be sure that the camera is on. I don't know why, because it used to work.
Okay, but can you listen to us?
Yes, perfectly. Yeah, it's
okay.
but,
So I will start with Sophie and Filipe, and then we will get to you.
Okay.
We hope at that time.
I hope.
Yes,
I
yes,
hope.
yes.
Sorry.
At least that because we can hear you, but we want to see you also.
Okay.
Okay, let's see.
I also listen to you very well.
Okay, thank you. First, Sophie, thank you also for being here, Filipe, and also Narcisa. I will begin with Sophie and the question of from the perspective of distribution and wholesale network, what are the main practical barriers to implement end-to-end seafood traceability across many suppliers, origins, species, products, formats, and consumers? This sounds a lot.
Okay. The main rationale observed to implementing correct traceability for seafood product can be summarized in several distinct points. Robust upstream input data from self-report data that is complex to accept to both of the technical and legal standpoint. Secondly, traceability data must be transmitted in near real time to ensure correlation between the physical flow of goods, sanitary flows, and control operation. And third, significant heterogeneity in the level of digitization of structure and each level of the value chain, resulting in very level of traceability granularity. And for the end, complex logistic structure and different information system between structure leading to different processing of the physical flow of goods, their handling, transformation, and the IT flow to traceability must be considered when implementing complete traceability. I hope you understand what I mean. Yes?
Picking up on that still, what would make traceability systems more useful for commercial operators, which means common data standards, easier integration with existing ERP systems, automatic data capture, harmonized system. It's once again, it looks like a lot, and it could not be easy.
Given the particularly heterogeneous landscape of information system, interoperability between the different systems potentially through the implementation of APA. See, I don't know, APA?
Yes, APA.
Yes. Yeah. In this essential prerequisite, wait, I'm sorry. I don't understand.
I think it's a prerequisite.
Thank you. For traceability that is accepted and recognized by all
Stakeholders.
Yes. The interoperability, however, presupposes the existence of a common framework and reference data, which must be defined at the regulatory level.
Yeah.
Only.
And picking up on Filipe, we have the ports, actions, and for sale systems are obviously critical entry points for at least starting the seafood data. How can these infrastructures become stronger gateways for digital traceability, marketing, transparency, and sustainability verification?
Okay. Thank you, Pedro. First of all, I would like to thank the SEA2SEE project for inviting Docapesca to be here today with you. For those who might not know, Docapesca is the Portuguese state company that is responsible for the management of all fishing ports in mainland Portugal, and also for the public service of the first sale of wild caught fish in Portugal. So we managed a network of 26 fish auction markets and 41 sales posts, which are smaller infrastructures located in smaller fishing communities. So we can say we are one of the first links in the traceability circuits regarding fish, and where the information starts to be generated before it enters the markets. As part of our responsibilities, we already provide all mandatory traceability information in our sales invoice and sales documentation, which is then transmitted to DGRM, which is Directorate General for Maritime Resources, to fulfill both national and also European reporting obligations. And this system has existed for a long time. It's fully operational, but of course there is still room for improvement, particularly regarding the automation of the information that is the first input process, because it's still manual in most cases. And then the interoperability with downstream systems beyond Docapesca, that along the value chain of fish. I must say that we also have a project. It's 15 years old right now. And although the final consumer isn't our direct client, we work mainly with the retailers, the wholesalers, but we develop a project to identify wild-caught fish, or the fish that is sold in Portuguese auctions, in the final point of sale. It's a label that has all the information that is required by law regarding the species, regarding the fishing gear that was used, the area where it was caught, and it's available still to this day in something like 500 points of sale. Although I must say also it still has a lot of room to improve regarding digitalization and a digital traceability system that goes from the fishing vessel until the final consumer.
So the digital traceability that was talked here is one of the main
One of the main
struggles.
goals, yeah.
Yeah, and what are the main challenges? We have that, of course, but of collecting, and I think it's important, reliable, standardized, and timely data at landing and first sale, especially in the contents, because it can involve many vessels, small scale operators, and a lot of diverse species.
The diversity of species, the number of our vessels, the characteristics of our vessels here in Portugal, because most of them belong to small scale fisheries, but it's our reality for a number of years, and the system that exists in our auctions is used to that reality. Is established, it works. That being said, like I mentioned earlier, the registration of the first info that is inserted into the system is still to this day a manual process. So there are plans, for instance, for electronic logbooks of vessels to be directly integrated with Docapesca's systems. That would automate part of this process, but electronic logbooks for on the other hand are not mandatory for our small scale fisheries and our small scale vessels, which are most of them, like 90% of them. If that would occur, of course, that the data process would be faster. It would be simpler at the auction level, and would transform this operation from data insertion to data validation. So the information would start to be generated at sea, and not in the auction, where the actual data insertion now begins. I don't know if I'm making myself clear.
Yeah, you are saying that it should start at the ocean, not at the Docapesca, at the auction. Okay.
Yeah. That would mean that for us the process will be simpler, and this construction of data traceability would start on the vessel, so that it would start a step before us.
And just a question, is that easy to implement? Because in a small vessel,
it would require some adaptation for sure, because those who are obliged to the electronic logbook, they are used to, but you have to regard that small scale fisheries, that's vessels with less than 9 meters. They don't have not the technology or the manpower to do all those operations aboard the vessel. It would require some adaptation for sure,
or at least for some of them. I'll go now to Narcisa, but after this first call, I say, I will open some questions for you if you want to put them. Otherwise, I will have to do mine also, but I hope you have some. Narcisa, hello. We are talking about collecting data, and we already talked about sustainability. I will ask you, what data is essential to assess whether seafood is generally sustainable?
Thank you. First of all, it's a pity not to be with you there, but I was unable to do. And first of all, I want to thank you the opportunity to be in this round table. and at the same time, in a very good moment, related with the sister project from Fish Trust, SEA2SEE, that is the sister project, and we had the opportunity to work together in the aspects related with seafood. I only want to add that I am the head of division of aquaculture, upgrading and bioprospecting, and my area is connected with that. But when you ask about the data that is needed to correctly evaluate and produce related with trust for consumers, I have to tell that data is always important, models to use, but at the same time, in our institute, we also have to do these oceanographic campaigns to evaluate stocks, fish stock assessment, and it is not my area of work, but I know that is a very important component to support the consumer trust, and at the same time to produce data and to mix and to combine also science and consumer, because we know that in science each more is important to have science connected with population, and at the same time to pass the information of the importance, because like state laboratory that IPMA is, our main target is our mission is to help population, at the same time building information connected with science, but to be in a way that we want to be close to, and was a very important topic that we developed in our project, that was also to create and to develop living labs, and trying to take the stakeholders to near us, and trying to understand the problems, and at the same time try to solve the problems that they have, because we know that this communication is not always easy, but our main objective is also to open doors to have real world scenarios. And at the same time, this was one of the aspects that were developed. But of course, also in IPMA, we have a component related with safety. And I like a lot the presentation that was done at the beginning of the session, because it refers all the important things that we have to take, and at the same time also to achieve and to trying to change and to break some myths. And we also have done this related with some aquaculture products, and also to connect the different aspects. I don't know if I answer. Probably I didn't answer very specifically
No,
to your question.
Yes,
but
no, yes. The question here was about the data, because we were talking on sales, but here, and being IPMA also an a research center, what data do you think it's needed just to, well, it's not to make sure, but to know if the seafood is genuinely sustainable, because it depends on how much fish is being caught, where is caught, the type of gear. I don't know.
Yeah, this is always a very important aspects that need to be covered. Of course, if in a perfect world we will know which fish what comes, and all the places, and if the way that is the way to be catch, and also the stock assessment associated, if it's a species that in our case, what we would like is to have like a label with all this information, but of course we work on that, and at the same time is something that is very important. All the line from the sea to the plate of the consumer, but all this needs to be covered by different aspects. But in our case, we know that in terms of aquaculture, there is a very big effort to catch all the information, also related with feeds, because we know that is a very important aspect also to be covered, because like us, fish is what he eats, and of course we need to control the feeds and all the aspects related, and this is an area where we developed a big effort to control at the same time what is the quality, but not only these aspects, but also related with the safety aspects, because at the same time we are also a laboratory that works in the protection of public health related with bivalves production, and this is all the line from the sea till the consumer, and we want to know and to anticipate it, for instance in science also the questions related with the production, bivalve production and biotoxins approach, and trying to have the way to control, and daily the labs work on that, producing data that of course blocks some areas to the consumer, open new areas bivalves related with bivalves. And this is something that is one of the missions of the IPMA Institute from the data collection related with analytical data collection.
Just another question, just to end this part. For you, who should validate not only the sustainability data, but you are also talking about the quality on the seafood value chain. Should it be public authorities, certification bodies, NGOs, technical providers, auditors? Who should validate this data?
Well, this data, we have competent authorities that are connected with this information, like in Portugal, the DGRM, the GAV, and all the competent authorities. But at the same time, is very important to understand to control all these data, and at the same time to produce information to validate. In our case, what we do is based in safety analysis. We have an information and we open an area for bivalves catch or not, but depending on the results each day. For instance, the labs are working daily on that, but we are also competent authorities for aspects related with bivalves, but not with fish. And related with bivalve production, we have an internal system that is working daily on that.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if there's any questions for the panel. No? No one? Should I keep doing it? No? No one? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for these very interesting talks already, and also these panel discussions. Yeah. I was just wondering, when I hear in this all this about the data, if it's not more about integration of all data which are already collected and existent in all different platforms, coming from as well horizons, as coming from the industry, as coming from local initiatives. Yeah. So would it not be a way forward that we look more into what is there now on data? Can we bring them together? Is there an interoperability possible rather than, again, looking for new data? Thank you.
That is really the challenge.
No.
That is really the challenge that we have before us. Regarding our own experience, as I said earlier, we already are like an interface between the fishers and the national authorities and the European control systems. So the information that we collect from their sales already feeds those systems and those control activities. However, the downstream, let us say like that, the downstream beyond Docapesca, beyond the auctions, along the value chain, I believe that is the weakest link. How does this information reach the final consumer? That I think that will require regulatory work at European levels, defining which information should be shared in an interoperable platform, which data, which format, what's the frequency, among other topics. But that is what we have been talking about in the SEA2SEE projects and the workshops that I attended, like the creation of these standards, APIs that can connect all these platforms and share the information along the value chain. That is the challenge that we have, and I don't think it's been solved right now.
Sophie, do you want to?
I think that some data are not in the system because between all the chain, the value chain, you have the fisherman, the market fish, and after the market industry. We have two distributors, and after the consumer. The problem that sometimes we have some goods we don't have the beginning of the source sometimes because it's not reporting. Alors attendez, selon d'où ça vient. Alors attendez. En fonction d'où ça vient. En fonction. Comment? Non, en fonction d'où ça vient, en fin de compte. Some country, they don't have the information to... yeah, exact. So sometimes we don't have all information. But actually, today, we have all this information for the consumer. We distribute many goods, and we have the products, the information, the data behind, and after for the consumer in the factory, in the invoice. We have all information about. Okay. But sometimes there is some products qui échappent. Control.
Because how I understand the question is that there is already a lot of data, I think that, and what's been done with it, which means that we are concerning about getting more data, but we have a lot of data that it's spread all around, and what can we do with it? But at least put it on the right way, which means that traceability can be. But I don't know, Narcisa, if you have anything to say to this.
Thank you. Yes, I agree that in fact what we need is advanced traceability and authenticity, also tools to help consumers, to protect consumers, but focus in science. Probably I am talking in the side of science, and all the time when we are this side, but we know that this is important, and probably is not all the data, is to connect, is the connection between the different steps of the value chain, that we know that all the time this interoperability, this communication among the different users of the chain, the value chain, we know that is very, very difficult. During our project, in terms of Fish Trust that finished at the end of May, we had the opportunity also to try to have also to break myths related with aquaculture, but also to call stakeholders and to know our main expectations. Of course, in the stakeholders that I'm telling is from the production till the industry and also distribution. That is a very important area also in Portugal. We know that we eat a lot of fish, and we import a lot of fish. And at the same time, one of the questions, because around 70% of the fish that we eat, we import, and we are consumers of fish, but a big part is salted cod, and we know that contributes a lot of that. And having this into account, we try to cross all trying to arrive to the consumers, of course, but at the same time to have also the industry, because we know that a big part of fish is important, but also the industry that process fish, fillet fish, they export also for other countries. And this is something to take into account when we import, we export, and we need to know all the market, all the different aspects related with the consumers, and also, of course, consumer behaviors, and to adapt that to that. But we think that an important way is help inspectors with to combat some fraud, of course, and to give them some tools that can help in the protection. Some are related with we have done during the project collection of samples that come from different parts from aquaculture, and also Duarte species was in Sibrim, and we try with all the data collected to have different scenarios and to try to understand and also to connect to the different consumer behavior and develop different aspects connected with that. Of course, in IPMA, we work more in aspects related with aquaculture and break myths. My area of work is related with omega-3 fatty acids, and sometimes some people believes that aquaculture fish doesn't have this EPA and DHA. And we know that sometimes it can have more. It depends of the season, of course, than some wild species. Is important wild species, but also to have the support of aquaculture. And of course, short chains are always important, and to consume species with undervalued species. This is what we also need to support, to look to different species and to produce functional products with these species connected to the market. and to prevent the cardiac diseases, but also the protection against neurological ones. But probably I'm going to other points.
Yeah, no, I think for aquaculture should be quite easier to get the first data than from our vessel, the small vessels. I think it's easier because it's like facility. I don't know if it is any more questions. No, I don't know if your question was really answered, but we hope that at least the question builds in some minds, and we have, because I think what we are talking here, it will be a real traceability, because if we have a lot of data, if it is all in the same place, at least it's possible to trace traceability. And we are talking about this kind of interaction, Filipe, and in the interaction with the EU fisheries traceability. How can this being done? Because you have the first sale auction system, and how can it better, of course, connect with the EU fisheries traceability control systems, but also we can have a Portuguese vessel putting the fish in another harbor, in another country, in another port, and how it can share all this information, so we can really have not only the data, but the data can be traceable.
Okay, so I think our reality of our Portuguese reality, it's a bit different from other European countries, probably because there's really one entity that collects this data from the first sale. I don't think it happens on many other European countries. So that's one means to facilitate that data collection. Regarding the traceability and the control systems, I think that connection is already made and it works. Regarding other certification schemes, I think it also has been proved that it works. Regarding, for instance, the MSC certification of the Iberian sardine, it happened last year, and our traceability system contributed to that certification being possible, among many other things, of course. Again, the downstream along the value chain is where it becomes harder. We have a great number of different companies that buy in auction, from the small retailers that buy and then sell, the fishmongers that they sell in their municipal markets or their own shops. We have supermarkets, large chains that buy directly in auctions and then sell in their stores. And when it has like one link, like these examples, the traceability process is simpler. The information flows between from their purchases in the auctions to the final consumer, and the system works. Okay. But if you have a value chain that has 3 or 4 links, that's where it starts to become harder. That's the real challenge we need to tackle. Sorry, Pedro,
No, it's yes, and that because I know I made 2 questions, and also the integration with the EU fisheries traceability. How, because you collect, and then it's well, as you said, it's easier to do it with some of the stores or supermarkets. But how it's done, or how can it be improved?
The data from fisheries, that the fish that is landed in Portuguese, landed and sold in Portuguese auctions, we are responsible for that collection, and then we pass it on to the GRM, which is the national authority responsible for the consolidation of all data from Portuguese vessels, because they not only they not only work the data from our auctions, but also from Portuguese vessels that operate in foreign waters like Norway or Canada or some other place. So regarding our particular job, that connection is well in place, and that part of the system works. No
And from there goes to the EU.
And then it goes to the EU, yeah.
Okay. Sophie, talking still about the traceability or the business value of traceability, how can this traceability move beyond compliance and become a business tool for reducing risk, improving sourcing decisions, supporting sustainability claims, and strengthening relationships with the retailers and food service clients?
Yes, traceability goes beyond a simple regulatory obligation when properly implemented. It reduces health risk by quickly identifying a batch and at least timing the scope of recall. Consumer confidence in the origin and the quality of products, the value of the products from the French fishing industry, and the consolidate relationship between the various stakeholder in the sector. Traceability is, I think, all people try to have a good traceability with all the excuse-moi. Je dis bien quand on a you speak French?
Un petit peu.
Je dis, I'm really sorry. Oui. Oui, je peux. Je disais que la traçabilité, elle est de toute façon, elle existe, elle est obligatoire et elle réside en fin de compte effectivement dans la passation de toutes les informations.
Je vais commencer par ça.
Voilà.
Traceability exists and is obligatory anyway.
And we have a great chance to.
En français.
Nous avons, maintenant je vais parler anglais, nous avons la grande chance d'avoir des opérateurs qui sont capables de transmettre toutes ces informations.
So we have the chance that theoretically all the operators, all the seafood industries involved in the value chain should be able to provide this information.
Parce qu'ils comprennent effectivement l'importance de la traçabilité.
As they understand the importance of traceability.
Qui doit passer par toute la chaîne de l'amont à l'aval.
And this traceability should go from the very beginning of the seafood chain until the end.
Thanks.
Sorry, let just be there because I have another question that I think it's easier on this way because I think Sophie, she's more relaxed on doing it in French. Yes, and on this matter, what role can the sector organizations, has the France Filière Pêche play in aligning producers, distributions, processors, and retailers around the common traceability expectations?
Oui, tout à fait. Ouais. France Filière Pêche, c'est d'abord, ça rassemble l'ensemble des chaînes de valeur de la pêche maritime française.
Donc, France Filière Pêche is an organization that represents all the seafood industry in France.
Et grâce à cette position centrale, France Filière Pêche, est en mesure de recueillir les besoins et les attentes de la filière afin de construire un référentiel de traçabilité cohérent.
Donc, so France Filière Pêche organize with all the seafood industry sorry, that's my turn to.
Alors, Un système,
collect, en fait,
toutes les informations.
they collect all the information on the needs of the seafood industry to improve the seafood traceability.
Et donc, c'est partagé et reconnu par les professionnels et les administrations, tant sur le volet technique que sur les opérationnels que réglementaires.
And all stakeholders are involved, the industry, the institution as well, the government, and all the stakeholders that are concerned by traceability work closely with France Filière Pêche.
Et pour finir, donc France Filière Pêche, on travaille actuellement sur vraiment une traçabilité puisque c'est demandé par l'Europe, donc sans faille.
As it's requested by the European Union, France Filière Pêche put traceability as a priority.
Exactement. Et donc, tout le monde, on va dire que tous les opérateurs de la chaîne, de la filière de la pêche, pardon, effectivement, sont impliqués, effectivement.
So all the seafood industry involved in the seafood sector are involved in this process. Voilà.
Merci.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think at least we arranged that. It was nice. Narciso, we are also talking here about traceability, and we talked about the being more than just this type of just to understand how things are, where they go, and in the framework of the European Union traceability, how can this traceability framework contribute not only to legal compliance but also to stronger conservation outcomes, responsible sourcing, and a better protection of the marine ecosystems? Because we are, and it links to one of the questions, which means about sustainability, because we are not only concerned, and I think has a research center and with the public concerning. Also, we have here, and I think IPMA also has it for the conservation and the marine ecosystem. It's important, as you said, where is fished, but also the gear and the amount. That's why we have quotas. How can this new traceability framework from the European Union contribute to enhance also the protection of the marine ecosystem?
Thank you for the question. In fact, to know what is been fishing and to have the idea of the species with using some genomics and other ways to control the fish that we are telling. Of course, Algarve University and also IPMA can contribute in this frame, because we can know specifically what is the species and to have all the idea of the way that the fish and at the same time to protect the ecosystem. At the same time, in IPMA, we are also developing a way to protect the ecosystem, but in a different way, trying to preserve the samples of different species, and at the same time trying to have a marine biobank with these species, and to study the metabolomics inside each one, and to try to take the best of each one to protect and to have better productions in future, but at the same time to preserve for future generations the species that are on problem. This is something that is a project that we have at the moment, and is a way that we have. But of course, this is based in the genomics, in metabolomics, and also the different analytical tools that can help us in terms of know better the different species. when you know better each species and you know the name of each one and what eats, the way that metabolically is expends more or less energy, this can be a way to know better the species. And at the same time, in an ecosystem, you look each one and you recognize what is the role of each one. And if you get some information at looking each one, you can produce. Of course, I'm talking a little about aquaculture, but you can produce more sustainable feeds, and you can protect the species that are not that you need to protect to not fish because they are in a low number, for instance. And you can develop areas that are protecting at the same time the ecosystem for fishermen, because we know we have at the moment a program related with in schools related with tuna, and we know that some species are more protected than others, but with the ways that you have analytical tools that you have, you can take the best of each one. I don't know if I answer, but the idea is to give an overview and trying to show that to protect the ecosystem, you can be in other way to trying to produce in sustainable ways, because we know that in future some species we will have problems related with like we see in the presentation, with the way that are fished in a very high level, and we need to protect some species from that. But if you take the species and you preserve, you study, probably is a way to help in this very complex story.
Yeah, and I'm just this is open, I think, for everyone, because I think we are talking about here the trust in the accessibility food for the consumer, but as we have this traceability framework from the European Union, we have also here in the fisheries a problem, which means with climate change we will have a lot of fish that are changing the place where they are being caught, and somehow does this this framework, this traceability also allow us to try to understand how all of this is also working, which means that we have quotas, and it's important for people to understand where the fish is caught, of course, but then we have this changing place, because we can have some fish caught in another place, or we have I think the quota is changing because of all of this. I don't know if this makes any sense, or if it's just me wandering around. That's good.
I think that the numbers of the statistics will, of course, influence the quotas that will be defined by European entities. So that's another reason, because for traceability and correct data to be implemented around the country.
No, for me, it might not make any sense. I don't know if anyone can or wants also to say something. It's just because we are talking about traceability, and I was looking for this frame because we are talking about a European Union framework, which means that if we have a lot of data, means that we have a lot of data from several countries, and if it is all in the same place, the researchers can try to understand how the fisheries also are linked together, and how is the fish are being caught more here. I was just someone who was I just heard a conversation that a lot of octopus just appeared somewhere, and which means that this is really changing, and I think it's going very fast than I think we predicted, and this can not only change the fishing quotas, also the way that the fishermen are working, but also with this kind of traceability, this framework can really help to understand how things are changing. I don't know, and even this kind of traceability, if it is really working and if everything is like linked, or the necessity of making this framework really work.
The existence of data is crucial to define strategies and tackle problems like the ones we had with sardine in 10 years ago. So the accuracy of that information, of all the scientific data, contributed to all the players in that fisheries, not only the producers, but also the traders, the retailers, the government entities, to define a strategy that in the end improved the reality of the Portuguese stock, and allowed it to be sustainable certification, sustainable certification like the MSC. So that's another proof that traceability is not an objective, but it's a tool to build trust between the fishers, between the investigators, between the retailers, and ultimately the final consumer.
I'm gonna know, Sophie, if you want to take.
Yeah. I tried.
I can take it over there.
Thank you.
Donc, finalement, on a parlé de la pêche, on a parlé de l'aquaculture.
We spoke about fishery and
Aquaculture.
farming.
Yeah.
Fish
And
farming.
effectively, effectivement, la traçabilité sur l'aquaculture et la traçabilité sur la pêche, deux choses différentes.
So traceability in the fishery sector and traceability for the farming sector are totally different.
Sur l'aquaculture, on est sur un process plutôt industriel, quoi.
On the farming sector, we are more on an industrial process.
Voilà, exactement. C'est ça, industriel, un process industriel du fait où on sait combien de poissons vont être sortis de la cage et combien vont être mis dans les caisses. Et il va y avoir véritablement un tracé de toute la chaîne jusqu'au restaurant.
So it's more easy to follow the fish in the farming sector from the farm where they have been catch. We know the number of fish that have been catch in the farm until the final use in restaurant, for example.
Voilà. Donc, parce qu'il y a la traçabilité, vraiment, les numéros de l'eau, tout est vraiment construit de manière à ce que c'est quasiment industriel. La pêche.
Everything can be followed.
La pêche, c'est différent. C'est la pêche. On dit qu'on est des paysans de la terre, mais on est des paysans de la mer à la pêche. Effectivement, on travaille moins industriellement que l'aquaculture. De ce fait, effectivement.
So for the fishery sector, it's more complex. This one is difficult to translate. So sometimes it's more artisanal in the fishery sector.
Pour autant, aujourd'hui, l'amont, l'aval, la filière est très organisée.
But the fishery sector is very well organized.
Avec effectivement des pêcheurs qui déclarent leur volume donc à la marée, donc normalement.
Non, mais fishermen who generally declare well their capture.
Non, on va dire qu'ils déclarent.
They declare. She represents the fishery sector.
Je ne vais pas me mettre
NGO,
fishermen declare
very well the capture.
voilà, dans les à la marée, qu'il est à la marée, donc
In the woods.
propose la marchandise qui est achetée par les marailleurs et des grossistes, voire des grandes surfaces.
So wholesalers, retailers, and all the companies that buy the seafood to the fishermen follow this traceability as well.
Exactement. Et après, effectivement, c'est revendu à de la restauration, à de la grande surface, à de la restauration collective. Et tout ça, c'est tracé. Tout à l'heure, Philippe a parlé de MSC. Aujourd'hui, ça, même si c'est une ONG, il faut penser que grâce aussi à ces informations, on arrive aussi à tracer véritablement les produits donc MSC du conventionnel, parce qu'il y a une demande qui est faite de la part des clients, parce que pour eux, ce côté pêche responsable, on en parle de plus en plus, c'est important, bien évidemment, et ça permet, alors et ça permet en fin de compte donc au-delà de la traçabilité, de montrer au client, enfin, de rassurer le client quant au produit qu'il va manger et d'où il vient. Donc, tu as la traçabilité, mais aussi un caractère durable. Parce qu'effectivement, dans les données qui sont proposées, il y a le conventionnel et le poisson durable.
Après, le stade de production
Oui,
arrive normalement de manière pertinente
c'est ça.
au dernier utilisateur.
Oui.
C'est ça que je veux dire.
Et nous, on arrive à déclarer aussi bien actuellement sur le filet lieu noir, par exemple, puisqu'on a de grosses demandes sur le filet lieu noir. Il y a des gens qui vont vouloir, enfin, des grosses cuisines centrales qui vont vouloir du MSC et d'autres qui seront moins regardants parce que ce n'est pas forcément Egalim. On va parler d'Egalim aussi, mais bon. Et donc là, on va jusqu'au bout. Là, on sait qu'on donne vraiment les informations. La traçabilité aujourd'hui, elle existe vraiment.
So the traceability today exists really after the production steps. What Sophie mentioned is that until the restaurant, until the last user, we have this traceability, and it's possible to know where the fish comes from.
Si, il y a des enjeux qui sont importants parce que enfin, comment dirais-je? Quand on dit qu'il y a peut-être des données qui peuvent s'envoler, on va dire, le fait de véritablement tracer le produit permettra qu'effectivement ces données-là ne s'envolent pas. Et elles sont importantes aussi, puisque ça va pouvoir quelque part donner des informations à l'Europe pour justement travailler sur les volumes et les quotas selon les pays. Enfin, la traçabilité est un enjeu important pour tout le monde.
So traceability exists. There are some information that are lost during the chain, so that needs to be improved. But the traceability exists, and equitable like MSC helps as well for this traceability because they are obliged to go until the end to the consumers, so that helps the traceability. So what Sophie, if I understand, if I try to translate well what Sophie wants to say is that traceability exists, but so if there is a major problem on seafood, we can retrace where the seafood come from, but there are for sure some information that are lost and that needs to be improved in the future.
C'est parfait. Et pour finir, au-delà de la donnée, il y a aussi l'aspect sanitaire. Parce qu'on trace, mais ce n'est pas simplement pour de la donnée, mais c'est aussi pour l'aspect sanitaire. D'où cela vient, comment c'est fait, comment c'est pêché, et si effectivement c'est bon pour le consommateur final. Ouais.
So traceability for the moment exists on the main point is for sanitary reasons.
So merci beaucoup, Sophie. Merci,
Thank you.
Elisabeth. And I'm afraid I'm gonna put some more questions to you.
Oh, d'accord.
Well, first a comment. We've had a few meetings with the Commission and with the Commission authorities on policy and on legal framework, etc. We've put forward a question a couple of times of, so what is the objective of this exercise, of the new regulation, okay, for digitalization of the traceability? Is it public health control? Is it capture control? Is it the stock control? Is it consumer information? What is the objective? What is the target? We didn't really get a very definitive answer. I don't know, maybe Stefan could have more on that. I don't know. We don't have anybody from DG Mare, from the Commission in this final event, which is unfortunate because we could have put forward this question again. Because here we have the industry, and it's a very diverse industry, and there is a lot of very, very different stakeholders. There's science, there's companies, retail and distribution, fishing, capture, production, and we do not know what is the final aim of the regulation, or at least I don't know. But traceability has been required for a long time. Now what is putting forward is a new methodology, maybe a more restraining conditions, and a clear message for digital traceability from capture to the plate of the consumer, and a request for putting forward that, making that digital traceability available for any authority asking for it on the spot at any stage of the value chain. Okay, that is a comment aside. On the other hand, for us, for the industry, for the different steps of the value chain, for you, Sophie, in your business, what is the impact? Because we see that traceability is a yes, we want more of that. But what is the impact, the specific impact of the new regulation on your business itself? Does it make life easier? Does it make it more complicated?
I think it's a facility. The word is facility for all the world, because actually, I think there is. All the country in the world are not is the same level, and the first word I have is facility, to check, to have the data directly.
Make it is easier.
Yes. L'IA,
artificial
Yes.
IA,
Yes.
artificial intelligence.
Yes. Today is the beginning. Tomorrow, and I don't know. Si, je pense que je serai encore là. Oui. I think. Ouais, je pense que le consommateur aura de suite le produit quand il va scanner le produit, il aura la traçabilité directe. Donc, quand je dis facilité, c'est ça que je veux dire.
Sophie thinks that in the future it will be easier. The consumer will have direct access to the information with all the technical tools. I think it's what you said.
Oui, oui. Ah non. Non. Tout est positif. Tout est positif. Tout est positif. Tout est réfléchi. Enfin, aujourd'hui, c'est vrai que on sent toujours qu'on doit faire des choses, on doit encore se mettre au niveau. Enfin, ça dépend des pays, parce qu'effectivement, il y en a qui sont avancés, d'autres un peu moins.
Donc, even if in the world all countries are not at the same level. This EU regulation is just positive in all ways, all means, and yeah, just positive for the future.
Yes. Enfin, aujourd'hui, c'est pas que c'est compliqué, mais aujourd'hui, la restauration demande beaucoup de filets de poisson. Donc, il faut partir du produit brut pour le transformer. Alors, c'est bien sûr que de la saisie informatique, mais c'est pas en appuyant sur un bouton. Il faut saisir le poids brut, il faut savoir, comment dirais-je, comment dirais-je, le volume de poids net que ça va sortir. En soi, c'est pas compliqué, mais c'est du travail.
So, in the restaurant sectors, of course, it's complex, but it's not complicated. You have just to follow the steps that are needed for traceability, and that's it. So it has to be done, even if it's complex, but it's not complicated.
Voilà. Donc, au-delà de ça, nous avons une unité de production sur l'Orient.
We have a production site in Lorient, which is one of the major fishery ports in France.
Pour les cuisines centrales françaises.
For the cooking sites that distribute the food in the catering sector in France.
Et là, on est en capacité, à ce niveau-là, d'avoir une traçabilité de tout le produit. C'est-à-dire que du poids net, du poids brut que l'on va avoir, on va pouvoir décortiquer tout le produit.
So from these very well organized production sites for the catering sectors, they are able to follow and to trace all seafood, all fillet, all processed seafood that will be distributed.
Donc, quand je dis quand je dis facilité, c'est effectivement à cette échelle-là, la grosse industrie est en capacité facilement de tracer, plus facilement que de la petite industrie, entre guillemets.
Big industries are well organized, it's easy to trace, and it's easy for the big industry. It's easier for the big industry compared to the smaller industry, the artisanal industry.
Alors, vous imaginez au niveau du monde ce que cela fait. Donc, des gros, on va dire, pays sont en capacité parce qu'ils ont peut-être mis les moyens qu'il fallait. Et effectivement, tout le monde doit se mettre au niveau. Mais vraiment, le mot qui me vient à l'esprit, c'est demain, c'est facilité. Voilà.
So she believes that tomorrow it will make everything easier. And she reminds that with the diversity of the level of technology in the world, some countries are more advanced than the others, but she's optimistic for the future. That's it?
I don't know the market, the German market. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and sorry, I have to say, maybe share one insight from the German market directly from what you were saying, Sophie. As I said in my presentation, Germany is certainly not an example of the most diverse seafood. We are maybe not the most diverse, but still, there's one example from one of my members. He's a fresh fish wholesaler, and his business is 2 o'clock in the morning. He's preparing the boxes with different fish coming from the auctions in France, in the Netherlands, in Denmark, in Germany, and making a lot of fresh fish consignments. Every restaurant gets their own box with the kind of fish they want. And in terms of facility, what is possible, what is easy, his decision now is he's not going to take any more fresh fish from a fisheries that is not instantly available, the data in a digital way. And especially, this is something that is true for a lot of the French fisheries, but also for a lot, I was speaking to a colleague from Belgium, same for the Netherlands, and same also for part of Denmark. We have these mixed species. So for example, side species like brosme, blue ling, and whiting, and fish species, which you can, turbot would be also a very good example. You can never be sure that you have the fish in the catch for the day. And it's only the fisherman in the very morning, on the auction in the very morning, that you know, okay, today I got this fish, maybe just 15 kilograms or so. And The paperwork for that is just way too complicated. There is no facility in there. And so the only facility, the only simplification in there is, I'm just not going to buy this product anymore. And this is where we are losing out. Specifically here, we are losing out on diversity. We are losing out on small-scale fisheries. I had a lot already when we were talking about the octopus example. The only one who is going to be winning here is octopus imports from Philippines. That's the only ones that are going to be winning. Because this is the granularity of the decision making and the granularity of the obligations does not add up. Why not turning it into a positive thing? I was giving the example with these tagliatelle with wild salmon, right? This is an industrial product. I fully agree. This is industrial product. The company has been doing this for many, many years now. This is really not complicated from them to do this where they stand today. But anybody who would want to do this right now, there's no chance. You're not gonna enter the market on this account. But you don't need to, because when you use traceability as a branding procedure, and this is a lot what you've been talking about, to make sure that you keep access to the markets, that you keep identity of the product, then say this is a marketing instrument, and this has nothing to do with fulfilling legal compliance. Legal compliance needs to take place in the moment of the capture, and it needs to be done then. The fisherman needs to prove that he or she has been acting in legal accounts. That's where we have controls. And then once it's in the market, it needs to stop there and needs to have a positive check. This was a legal product. We're done and over with this. Next step. And this is why I like the step-by-step approach, because it takes also this fictional idea of retail being responsible to decide of what is sustainable, or a retail to be decide what is legal. They cannot do this. This is not possible. When they are put into this obligation, they're just going to be limiting the kind of products, and the products are just going to be a lot more expensive. So my point is maybe here, certainly not a question, just an elongated comment first, sorry for that, is it's not that simple. And the only way to make it simple is when you remove everybody who is not fitting so very nicely. So we have just a system of survival of the most adaptable. We don't have survival of the fittest, of the most sustainable, and we are going to be losing out on sustainability if that is the rationale here. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. I think we are ended. I don't know, just asking Narcisse if she wants to say anything just to close the session.
Okay, many thanks. I think that was a very interesting session, and I have to say that consumer trust depends not only on scientific. My phone is sorry. I have to close. Sorry. Sorry for this interruption. This is okay. Consumer trust depends not only on the scientific guarantees, but also on the open and transparent digitalization of value chain. And to add, the combination of biotechnology with solutions has proven viable for mitigate food fraud and boosting the blue bioeconomy in Europe. And this is my final message. Sorry for this interruption.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. I don't know if you have any. I think everyone wants to have lunch. I think we have already lunch prepared. So thank you. Thank you for Sophie, Filipe, and Narcisse for being here. And I think we ended this session.
Thank you very much for this discussion. It was really insightful, and I think very open, honest, and sincere. We see that there are a lot of problems, but this is why we have SEA2SEE as a project to deal with, or at least start dealing with some of these problems. Today's lunch experience, I just want to remind all of the participants in the room and also our online attendees that is designed as an immersive experience of the traceability platform that we develop, which means that, the new codes aren't there, which means that we will have QR codes that are created by Tilcal and PageUp that could be scanned, and they will be tracking the journey, the travel of the octopus and the meager we are going to be served at lunch from sea to plate. And for the online attendees of our conference, we have provided these QR codes as well, and also the QR code of our Povo do Algarve book, which will also take you into the traditions and the cultural heritage of the octopus and what it means for this part of Europe. So we are coming back at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock Central European time for continuing with the sessions. And for everybody in the room, you're invited to join the lunch, which is prepared by Chef José Baptista and his team.